Dear students, hello and welcome to Hooray. Today we are going to look at the IELTS test and the modules, and we look at one module in depth. IELTS stands for International English Language Testing System. There are two ways of giving the exam. One is the paper-based test, which has been the traditional way of giving the test, and the other new way of giving the test is the CBT, which is a computer-based exam. There are 4 modules in IELTS exam. Those are listening, reading, writing, and speaking. In the computer-based test, the order is listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Whereas in the paper-based test, writing is the first module, followed by listening, reading, and then speaking. So today we are going to look at the writing module. There are 2 different exams. One is the general test, and the other one is the academic test. The academic test is for those who are going to study abroad and also for all medical professionals. Whereas for the people who want to go and work abroad, they're looking for a PR, they have to do the general exam. So in writing and reading, there's a slight difference for the general and academic exam. We'll look at those differences in the upcoming slides. I'm going to share my screen with you now and share a PPT and explain the writing module in depth. Let me share my screen with you now. I hope my screen is visible to all of you. Here comes the IELTS writing module. As I told you, there are 2 different tests, the academic and the general. In the general test, there is a difference in task 1. Totally, the writing test is for 1 hour, divided into 2 tasks, task 1 and task 2. Task 1 for general test is letter writing and task 2 is essay writing, whereas for academic students, task 1 would be a report writing and task 2 would be an essay writing. The task 1 is for 20 minutes, where one has to write a minimum of 150 words, and the essay writing, which is task 2, one should write a minimum of 250 words. So it's totally 1 hour. Similarly, for the academic training, the report writing would be 20 minutes, where you have to write 150 words minimum, and essay writing is the same as general. It is 40 minutes, and you have to write 250 words minimum. But the ideal range is 260 to 280 words, and the ideal range for task 1 would be 160 to 180 words. Let's look at the assessment criteria for writing. One is task achievement. For task 1, they call it task achievement, where the one covers all the aspects of the question adequately. And task 2 for report, for the essay, it's called task response. It means the same, that you have to cover all the aspects of the question adequately. The second assessment criterion is coherence and cohesion. Coherence is to write with clarity, and cohesion is to have logical sequence between your ideas and thoughts. The third point is grammatical range and accuracy. This criterion includes all grammar topics like article usages, subject-verb agreement, tenses, active voice, passive voice, and the range of using the different kinds of sentences like simple sentences, compound sentences, and complex sentences. The last criterion is lexical resource. This means vocabulary. Vocabulary should be in-depth and varied. You should not repeat words. The more varied your vocabulary is, the better your score would be. All these 4 criteria are scored on 1 to 9, and they're added up, and whatever score you get on them will be added and divided by 4. Let's look at the general writing first, and then we'll go to the academic writing. For general writing, task 1, which is letter writing, there are 3 kinds of letters: formal, semi-formal, and informal. A formal letter is written to someone whom you have not met or you do not know the name of the person. Whereas a semi-formal letter is written to someone you may or may not have met, but again, it's in a formal setting, you have a formal relationship with the person. Whereas the informal letter is a letter you write to someone whom you know well. It could be a family member, your relative, your neighbor, your close friend, your colleague who you meet every day. It's a casual letter. Now, the beginning of the letter should start off with a salutation or opening. Opening of the salutation for the formal letter would start off with "Dear Sir / Madam," or you can write "Dear Sir" or "Madam." If you know the name of the person, you could write the person's name with the title and the last name. So you should write Dear Mr. dot and the last name, or Mrs. last name, or Miss last name. For the semi-formal letter, you start off at the end like Dear Mr. title and the surname. If it's Brown, you write the last name Brown. If it's a Miss Stone, Stone is a last name, MS is a title. You can use MS for married ladies as well as unmarried ladies. For both, it's the same. Dear Miss Stone. And you have to put a comma after the salutation. This is compulsory. It's mandatory to use commas here. Whereas an informal letter, when you start off your salutation, you can write the first name of the person, like Dear John, Dear Anita, and put a comma. Then you have the body of the letter. In formal and semi-formal letters, the first paragraph would be, you have to write the purpose of the letter. Why you're writing, whether it's a complaint letter or whether it's a letter of invitation or a request letter, whatever it is, write the purpose in the first paragraph for formal and semi-formal letters. Please do not write anything personal here. Whereas in the informal letter, when you're writing to someone you know, in the first paragraph should start off with something personal, like asking them about their whereabouts, giving them some details about yourself. So the first paragraph would somehow you re-establish your relationship with the person. Then you come to the body paragraph for formal, semi-formal and informal letters. The body of the paragraph would cover all the 4 bullet points where they give you an outline of in the question. In the question of the letter, they would give you 4 bullet points, which is just the outline. You have to create the content around those 4 points. So you build up the matter. You have to create the content and write the details in the letter in the body paragraph. And then in the closing paragraph, for formal, you could write something like, I hope you will take action at the earliest. So suppose it's a complaint letter, you could ask, call for action. Suppose it's a request, you could say, I hope you will respond to me favorably. So depending on what the question is, based on that, you give a one-liner at the end. That's called the conclusion for formal and semi-formal. For informal letters also, you would have a conclusion, but it would be on a very warm note. It should be something which brings closeness between you and the person you're writing to. So you could write something like, let's catch up for a cup of coffee this weekend. Or how about we go out for a movie next Saturday? Or something on a very warm note, you give the conclusion. Now, at the end, after the conclusion paragraph, you leave a line space and write yours faithfully for formal letters, put a comma, then leave a line space, full line, empty line gap, and then write your full name. For the semi-formal letter, you write yours sincerely, comma, and leave a full line gap and write your full name. But for the informal letter, you don't say faithfully or sincerely, you write regards or lovingly or warm wishes. You can finish it and close in many ways. Leave a line space and then you can write your first name, not your full name, because it's not official, it is personal. So just give your first name or your pet name, whatever that person calls you by, you could give that name. This is the structure of the 3 letters. Let's look at some letter writing tips here. You analyze the task properly, read the question, read what you're supposed to write, what is the task, and then you write. So that gives you marks for your task achievement. Address all the subheadings and prompts. You would have 4 bullet points. Make sure you cover all the bullet points in your letter. First, you do some brainstorming and mind mapping. You can plan your work. So you can see the time management here on the right side. Plan the letter for 3 minutes. Then you approach and write the letter for 13 minutes. And that is 13 plus 3, 16 minutes. You still have 4 minutes remaining. You review and edit your work in 4 minutes. So you have to write about 160 to 180 words for the letter. Make notes while you're preparing, while you're making a plan. You can jot down some notes quickly and you can highlight or underline the keywords in the question itself. Write 3 to 4 paragraphs, so 1 introduction paragraph, body paragraph, closing, conclusion paragraph. You have to be concise. Be concise means to the point. Don't digress. Don't go off topic. Stick to the point and also be brief. Give the gist, give the summary. Don't over detail. Be cohesive. Cohesive means have logical thoughts, logical sequence between your ideas and your thoughts. And be coherent, be clear. Whatever you're writing, write it in clear sentences. Make sentences with meaning. It's better to write simple and compound sentences, avoid complex sentences, as that may have a risk of increasing the number of grammatical errors. Whatever you write, communicate the message clearly. Use correct spelling and appropriate punctuation. Use appropriate style for each writing, each type of letter. So each type of letter, depending on whether it is formal or semi-formal or informal, use the appropriate style for different types of letters. This is the time management, which we have already discussed earlier. Now let's look at the next slide. This is for the academic students. It is a report writing. You have to write again 160 to 180 words, and you will have to write within 20 minutes. So you will have to interpret a graph, a chart, a diagram, or table. In the opening paragraph, in report writing, it's not called introduction, body, or conclusion. It's called opening paragraph, body paragraph, closing paragraph. So in the opening paragraph, you can start off with paraphrasing the question. You type what type of graph it is, and what it depicts, what is it saying. Then in the body paragraph, leave a line space between all paragraphs. In the body paragraph, start with the lowest and the highest values. Then you compare and contrast the in-between values, give the progression of both. You use in the closing paragraph, you can start the sentence with overall or overall comma and give one striking feature about the diagram. Describe the trend. So it's a report, so you need to use a lot of graphical jargon. Give the trend, whether it's upward trend, downward trend, it's fluctuating, whatever trend it is. Compare and group the information for bar graphs, pie charts, or tables. You can club information together. You don't have to give every value, and don't give a report date-wise or based on the different values. You need to say this is half of this is double this has grown by 3 times, or this is 1/4 of this. You need to do some analysis and use your analytical skills while writing. If it's a diagram or a picture, you just have to explain it by describing it. It could be a flow chart or a life cycle. You just need to describe it. There's no comparing and contrasting, and there is no trend there, and you don't have to give an overall view there. Use graphical jargon, like I said. Use words like rose dramatically, it plummeted, there was a dramatic rise, sudden increase, gradual decrease, constant fluctuation. All these are graphical jargon. In our YouTube channel of Hooray, you can find a lot of these graphical jargon in the report writing videos. Please go through them. It will help you to develop your writing skills. Here also, like the letter writing, we have time management. Out of 20 minutes, you spend 3 minutes for planning your work, then write for 13 minutes and review and edit for the last 4 minutes. So 13 plus 3, 16 plus 4, 20 minutes. You have to write 160 to 180 words. Let's look at some writing vocabulary for reports. Report writing vocabulary. These are all graphical jargon. We have noun forms, verb forms, phrases, adverbs, and adjectives. So for nouns, you can use a rise, an increase, because it's a noun, it's a naming word. There was a rise, there was an increase, a surge, a peak, a plateau. If it's a verb form, there'll be an infinitive before that. To rise, to increase, to surge, to peak, to skyrocket, etc. Phrases could be groups of words, which is a part of a sentence, like to show an upward trend, to show a downward trend, to hit the highest point, etc. And adverbs are words which describe the verbs. So it could be it sharply rose, or suddenly increased, or rapidly plunged. So you could combine the adverb and verb and form your sentences. Adjectives are words which describe nouns. So you can use sharp, sudden, abrupt, dramatic along with the noun. So adjectives should come along with the noun. There was a sharp increase, or there was an abrupt decrease, or a dramatic rise, or a steep fall. So you combine the adjectives and the nouns. So these are all graphical jargon. Please take a screenshot of this if you want, and also go to our YouTube channel to learn the graphical jargon. Now let's look at the essay writing, which is common for both of you, academic and general students. It is a common writing, which is the essay writing. You have to write at least 260 words to 280 words, nothing less than 250 though. You read the question and plan for 5 minutes. So here your time management is, you have 40 minutes totally. So you have to spend about 5 minutes planning, and the essay writing time would be 30 minutes. And that's 30 plus 5, 35. In the last 5 minutes, you got to review and edit your work. I would like to also mention here that the essay writing carries more weightage than the task one. So the essay writing marks are doubled in the exam. So if you wish to do the essay writing first and then the task one, is fine, so that you can spend a little extra time if you require and make it as good as you can so that you get good score that will be doubled. Write the main ideas, supporting ideas with reasoning data, give facts and examples. You could begin writing task 2 first, as I said, since it carries more weightage than the task 1. Then you do task 1 later. But within 1 hour, you have to finish both task 1 and task 2 and submit your papers. Here's the structure of the essay. You have the introduction paragraph, 2 body paragraphs or 3 body paragraphs, and conclusion paragraph. In the introduction paragraph, you could start off with paraphrasing the topic or give background statement. Say something general about the topic in your own words in 2 sentences. Then give the thesis statement. This means to give your opinion. Say whether you agree or disagree. Then give a transitional statement. A transitional statement could be, now agree, disagree could be, if it's an opinion, they give you a topic and they ask you, do you agree or disagree? You could write in the thesis statement, I agree with the above topic, or I disagree with the above topic. Now, if they give you a scenario, a situation and ask, to what extent do you agree? You could say, I predominantly agree with the topic. Or you could write, I partially agree, I totally agree, I equally agree. And then you give the transitional statement. Transitional statement would be, coming back to thesis statement, there's one more thing, one more question type, which would be, if they ask you, give you a scenario and ask you to write, discuss both views and give your own opinion. So you could write in the following, I agree with this or I disagree with the statement. And then transitional statement, you can write in the following paragraphs, I will discuss both views and explain my opinion. Or you can just write as a transitional statement, in the following paragraphs, I will substantiate my opinion. Or in the following paragraphs, I will explain my viewpoint. Or in the following paragraphs, you will get in-depth insight into the topic. You could have one sentence as a kind of a standard sentence, as a template, and you could use that in your essay. You will get only one essay, so you can just use that. It will not be like a by-hearted statement. So the first paragraph is done here. You finished 4 sentences, leave a line space and maintain left alignment. Every word should start at the margin. In the body paragraph, it's also called supporting paragraph. In the first supporting paragraph, explain why you agree or why you disagree with an example. And the second supporting paragraph, you can write, on the other hand, some people disagree because, give a reason and write, however, I agree because, and give another example to prove your point. And then you come to the conclusion and summarize. Summarize what you've already written in the body paragraphs and reiterate your thesis. Give your opinion in different words. Don't give any no new ideas here, no new topics, no new arguments, and don't give any examples in the conclusion. All the examples should be in the body paragraphs. Suppose the advantages and disadvantages essay. In the first body paragraph, you give one advantage with example. Second body paragraph, the disadvantages. If it's a problem solution essay, in the first paragraph, you give the problems with the reasons and causes. In the second body paragraph, you give the solutions and suggestions. So if you have an essay which is causes and effects, in the first body paragraph, you give the causes, explain all the reasons. And in the second paragraph, you give the possible solutions and the effects, how it affects the neighborhood or society in general, or the environment, and what are the repercussions. So this is the structure of the essay. Let's look at some topic-wise vocabulary. The environment, if you get a topic on environment, it could be using words like air quality, to become extinct, to be under threat, climate change, etc. Education, if you get a topic on education, you could use words like this: to attend classes, bachelor's degree, to fall behind with your studies, etc. Technology could be backing up files, boot app, bookmark, etc. Holidays could be all-inclusive packages, breathtaking view, etc. And if it's on sports, you could talk about a football fan, a fitness program, football season, get into shape, etc. Okay. So in our Dropbox, there is a book called Essays, Letters and Essays, August 2021. In that book compiled by Hooray, You get topic-wise vocabulary with meanings from A to Z categorized in alphabetical order. Please go through that and familiarize yourself, because lexical resource, that is vocabulary, carries 9 marks. If you use varied and rich vocabulary, your marks on vocabulary goes higher. Wish you all the best for your training and for your preparation for your writing test. Here are some general tips for writing. You develop your vocabulary, as I said, your lexical resource, write your sentences effectively, exhibit your grammatical range, use varied grammar structures like prepositions, pronouns, adjective forms, conjunctions, subject-verb agreement, various tenses, etc. Use a combination of simple, compound, and complex sentences. A simple sentence is where you have a sentence with one idea, and when you have an idea with 2 sentences combined with a conjunction like and or so or because or since, that becomes a compound sentence. And a complex sentence is having 3 or more ideas in one sentence, where you'll have other cohesive devices to structure those sentences. You have cohesive devices to join the ideas together. You could use prepositions, you could use personal pronouns, relative pronouns, conjunctions. All these will be used to bind your ideas together. You need to use correct spelling. If you have incorrect spelling, your marks would go down on grammar. You also need to use rich vocabulary. Maintain left alignment, paragraphing, and keep a line space between your paragraphs. You should write in a concise way. Concise is, make it concise, gist. Don't go off topic. Write coherently, means with clarity. Cohesive means writing with the logical sequence between ideas and thoughts. Use cohesive devices. Use also words like firstly, secondly, thirdly, finally. Do not memorize model answers. No contraction form should be used, which means no words like shouldn't, couldn't, don't, it's. You have to expand all the words. It is, should not, could not, etc. Abbreviations like WHO, AIR, HR, these words also should be expanded. And no short forms like GOVT for government or CAPT for captain, etc. You have to use the full forms. You should not use symbols also when you're writing essay. Please do not use symbols like brackets or slashes, or no emojis, no emoticons allowed. Also, do not use numbers. You have to spell out the numbers. Use proper punctuation. Most of the punctuation you would be using would be commas and full stops. Review your work and edit it at the end in the last 5 minutes. So now we have come to the end of the speaking session. I hope these tips have helped you, and I wish you all the best in your preparation. In the upcoming classes, we will go more in depth into the writing modules to help you improve your writing skills and get a good score for the writing. Thank you for listening and being a part of this session. All the best. I'll stop sharing my screen now.